The movie starts and we are shown the time of Christmas. Here we see a boy named John who is very sad, because none of the children were playing with him. At night, John receives a Christmas present and receives a teddy bear named Ted. The same night before going to sleep, John prays to God that he wishes his daddy was alive. When John wakes up the next morning, he finds that his teddy is not at its place. Then he starts searching for Dad here and there. Then suddenly Dad calls him from behind. John's rebuke comes to hand when he sees Ted walking and talking. But then he thinks that he had asked for this wish on Christmas night, so maybe his wish has been fulfilled, and with this they both become very good friends. After your Ted is alive, it spreads rapidly in the whole city, and on seeing it, he becomes very famous on social media, due to which he is interviewed on every TV channel and becomes a tax celebrity. But despite being so famous, Ted does not give up his friendship with the Zone. After this, Sin Coast shifts ahead a year. Here we see 35-year-old John sitting with Ted getting cheap drugs. Here we see that Ted Times has become a huge weed addict, and he and John just lay around getting cheap all day. John also worked in a company whose name was Liberty. Apart from this, John also had a girlfriend whose name was Lori. Lori didn't like Coates at all because John left her and spent most of his time with Ted. Arajan and Lori are making mood on the matter, but then suddenly there is a loud lightning, hearing which Ted explodes and he comes running to sleep near them. Now poor Lori, who was sitting in a mood, John warms her up and leaves her cold. The next day, Lori goes to her office and there her jerk boss starts wooing her. Lori and John go to a party that night, where both of them are enjoying a lot, remembering their old things. Then Lori tells John, if you want to move forward in your life and do something, then you have to leave Ted's side. On this, Jan tells him that I am with Dad for the last 25 years and he is my only friend, so I cannot leave him. After this, both of them again go to John's house where Ted was watching TV with 4 girls and partying under pressure. Lori gets very angry after seeing this and she tells John to throw them out of this house. Now John has to obey Lori even if he doesn't want to. And then he sends the next day for a job interview at a general store. Then there the manager of the store asks Ted, do you have the power to work at the store? On this the Ted says that I have so much power that I can make your wife happy. Now even after listening to this answer, that manager keeps him on the job. Now apart from getting a job, John also gets her a flat to live nearby as Lori at home refused to stay with John and also told her that you will now no need to meet with Ted. But John still smoked with him. Now just like that one day when both of them are sitting in the park talking, then a man named Donnie comes there with his son Robert to buy the Ted. On this, John flatly refuses him and says that Ted is not for sale. But Robert still gives John his address and number before leaving. Lori was also much happier now at home because John was no longer living with the Ted. On the other hand, in the store, Ted also starts flirting with a beautiful girl and within no time he manages to win her over. One night, Ted wanted to party with the Zone, so she called John. He asks her to come to his flat. After which they party together after a long time. The next day the store where Ted worked was heavily crowded because there was no one at the counter to greet him. Then when the store manager comes into the storeroom to find Ted, he sees Ted performing a groping program with a girl there. Seeing this, the manager calls Ted to his cabin and gives him a promotion. That same night, Lori takes John with her to her boss's party. Both of them are enjoying there when John gets a Ted call and he tells him to come here soon. I have got a lot of bear and Russians here for you. Hearing this, John also gets very excited and he fools Lori and leaves his boss's party and comes straight to the Ted. After that they both party there by pressing, but after a while Lori also comes there and she gets very angry seeing John partying with Ted because Lori told him to stay away from the beach. After this, Lori tells John that I have nothing to you and only this daddy is everything to you. So you have to play Ted, and after saying this, she breaks up with John and leaves. Now it breaks the heart of the people completely and then in a fit of anger, he breaks all relations with the Ted as well. The next day, when Lori's boss learns that Lori has broken up, he wastes no time in asking her out on a date. On this, Lori also says yes to John to vent his anger. Now, even after getting his honor done, Ted comes to John and tells him that Lori's boss is pressurizing him to do a pay land program, on hearing which John starts fighting with Ted and starts abusing him. But now Ted was also very angry with this. So he climbed on top of John, starts beating him like a dog. Now after so much beating, John calms down and the Ted become friends again. They then go to Lori's together where she has come on a date with her boss. He comes on stage and starts singing a song for Lori, listening to which Lori gets very impressed with him and she cancels the follow-up program with her boss and goes to her home alone at night. The next day, Ted comes to Lori's house to meet her and apologizes to her, saying that it was my fault and because of me both of you broke up. Ted tells Lori that please go see John at once. And after today I will not show my face to you both. Hearing this, Lori agrees and she goes to meet John at his house. After a while, Donnie and Robert come to Ted's house and they kidnap him and take him to his house, asks him to play with him at home, but Ted refuses it. Now this makes Robert very angry and he angrily uproots one ear of the Ted. Now Ted is too scared of this and he agrees to play with the robot. After this they both play hide and seek. Then while Robert is counting the floss, Ted sees the opportunity and calls John. So he tells him that, brother, come soon and get me out of here. Otherwise these people will tear my everything and take all the tears out of me, and these two are the same whom we met that day in the park. Just then he comes over and overhears Ted talking on the phone. He then locks Ted in the trunk of the car and takes her away. On the way, John sees the Ted and then he starts following Donnie's car. Then due to the deterioration of the balance of the car, Donnie's car collides with a pole. But then Ted comes out of his house and climbs a tower, but Donnie also does not give up following him and he also starts climbing that tower after Ted. After a while, John and Lori also come there. On the other hand, while climbing the tower, Donnie grabs Ted's leg and starts pulling it, causing Ted to split into two and fall to the ground, turning back into a toy. Then John and Lori run off to collect Ted's torn pieces and cotton and come home. Lori sews the coasters back on. But even after making so many efforts, Ted does not come back alive. Then at night, Lori prays to God to please make this Teddy alive again. The next morning, John comes to Ted. And now he was convinced that Ted never come back again. That's why he starts crying remembering Ted. But then Ted suddenly turns up and Joe surprises them, which makes John and Lori very happy and all three decide to live together. In the last scene of the film, we see that John and Lori get married and Ted also marries the girl he had made into the shop storeroom. And this is the end of this movie. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell for daily updates of movie recaps like this. Comment what movie you want next. Thanks for watching.